Yo, what's up guys? It's Noah here, and in today's video, we're going to be talking through some player props I like on Prizepicks for the Super Bowl this Sunday for Super Bowl 59. We've got the final game of the NFL season. It's kind of sad, that the NFL season's coming to an end, but we got the big game on Sunday. I've got some player props I like over on Prizepicks. We have a ton of props on Prizepicks for this game. I mean, you can see Prizepicks added like so many different stat types. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that I've never seen before, and I've been playing Prizepicks for like 5 years now, and some of these props I've never seen before. So we'll be interested to talk through some plays. I got 3 plays that I do like for the Super Bowl. Try not to go too crazy. I know it's the last game of the season. It's the big game. Everyone wants to play props, bet on this game, whatever it may be. But I try not to go out there and just put out a bunch of random plays just because there's a game on. I still try and find the plays that I like the most, and then obviously share those in this video. And we got 3 plays that I do like for this game that we're going to talk about and break down. So before we do get started, guys, make sure that you hit that like button down below. If you do enjoy these Prizepicks videos, make sure to hit that subscribe button as well. And if you guys are new to the channel, if you are new to Prizepicks, go sign up for Prizepicks and use promo code NOAH when you do. When you sign up for Prizepicks and place your first $5 lineup, you'll get $50 in promo funds instantly added to your account, and you will also get a free square because Prizepicks does have a free square available right now, as you can see on the screen. Patrick Mahomes pass yards is set at 0.5, and this is a free pick for everyone, so you're getting a discount, a free square that you can use. Put that in your slip, and obviously you could play it however you want. If you want to do a 2-pick, 3-pick, 4-pick, whatever it may be, but definitely take those free squares anytime these sites offer them. You want to be playing these discounts. And again, if you don't have an account on Prizepicks, use promo code NOAH when you do sign up. And I do also want to shout out Sleeper, because we do have a partnership with Sleeper as well. You guys can sign up for Sleeper. Use promo code NOAH over there. And when you play $5, you'll get $55 worth of free lineups. So this is a cool promo Sleeper's doing. You don't have to deposit a bunch of money. You can just put in the minimum, and you'll still get $55 worth of free lineups when you play your first $5 lineup. And also, I do want to shout out Sleeper because they have a bunch of discounts available for the Super Bowl. You can look on the screen, look to my left. They have 4 discounts. They have a discount on Xavier Worthy's receiving yards, A.J. Brown's receiving yards, and then both quarterbacks, Mahomes and Hurts, they have their pass yards discounted. And I think Mahomes, they have like his pass plus rush yards discounted. So you're getting 4 discounts on Sleeper, and you can use all these. It's not like you have to pick one to use. You can play all 4 discounts. So that's another incentive to sign up for Sleeper right now. A lot of these DFS sites, sports books, whatever it may be, a lot of these sites are doing promotions. They're trying to get people in. It's a big game. They know everyone's going to be looking for props, going to be trying to play something for this game. And on Sleeper, you have a bunch of discounts you can use for the Super Bowl. So definitely go check them out, guys. And again, if you don't have an account on Sleeper, use promo code NOAH when you do sign up. So that way you get those $55 worth of free lineups whenever you play your first $5 lineup. Let's go ahead and talk about some props, guys, that I'm liking for this game, for the Super Bowl, Eagles and Chiefs. We got a rematch of the Super Bowl from 2 years ago. Should be a fun one. I'm excited to watch this game. I put a bet in on the Eagles. I did bet Eagles money line. We'll see if it comes through or not. In my opinion, between these 2 teams, I think the Eagles are the better team. I think the Chiefs have definitely, gotten a little lucky this season with how they've, escaped in some really close games. The Eagles have looked dominant on both sides of the ball, offense and defense. If you want to tell me, go bet Eagles money line, because that's what I'm on for this game. But I also wanted to give out some props that I did like for this Prizepicks, or for the slate on Prizepicks. So let's go ahead and talk through the plays that I'm liking. So the first prop that we're going to take a look at is going to be a fantasy score. So on Prizepicks, you can take fantasy score props. These are pretty self-explanatory. It's a fantasy point projection system, and if you're new to Prizepicks, you can see how fantasy points are calculated. Just click scoring chart, scroll down, and you can see how fantasy points are calculated. It's pretty self-explanatory. If you've ever played fantasy football before, it's the same scoring system that every fantasy football league uses, and it's a full PPR, so you get a point per reception. But the fantasy score prop that I do like is Patrick Mahomes for more than 20.5 fantasy scores. So you can see Mahomes, gone over this fantasy score line in 3 of his last 5 games. For what it's worth, the game against Houston only had 12.4 fantasy points. That was a game where he didn't really get many touchdowns, I believe. In that game, he only threw 1 touchdown, was not able to get a rushing touchdown. Also only threw for 177 yards and had just 14 rushing yards. That was a game that the Chiefs kind of controlled. All throughout the game, they were playing with the lead. They didn't really have to lean on their passing game. this could definitely be a spot where they're forced to throw a little bit more. They're going to be facing an Eagles offense that we have seen all season has been able to put up points. I would not be surprised if this is a game script where it's kind of like a back and forth type of game, or maybe even the Eagles get out to an early lead and it forces Kansas City to throw more. But regardless, this is probably going to be a tough spot for Kansas City's run offense, their run game, to have much success, because the Eagles have been very good against the run this season. The Eagles all around have been a really good defense, but they've really been stout against the run. I know Kareem Hunt's had some good games lately, but I think this could be a spot where Kareem Hunt struggles a little bit with his efficiency. And we have seen in the Super Bowl, Mahomes has played in the Super Bowl 4 times now. We have seen them just lean heavily on Mahomes and his arm, his legs. You look at his games in the Super Bowl, throughout his career. Again, he's played 4 games in the Super Bowl in his career. 42 pass attempts, 49 pass attempts, 27 and 46 pass attempts. He's also had some good rushing games in those games. I want to pull up those with his rush stats, because I want to say that he's run for a good amount in the Super Bowl as well. Had, I believe, 9 carries for 29 yards, 5 carries for 33 yards, 6 carries for 44 yards, and 9 carries for 66 yards. Did have a rushing touchdown in that first game against the 49ers. But we've seen the Chiefs really lean on Mahomes' arm and his leg in the Super Bowl. I mean, he's obviously their most talented player. He's the guy that you want having the ball in his hands, especially in the crucial times late in the game. Maybe they give the ball to Kareem Hunt 10, 15 times, and Kareem Hunt's busting off long runs. He's efficient, but I think that's unlikely to happen in this matchup. So I'm expecting a lot of opportunity for Mahomes to get yards, to get touchdowns. Anytime they get in the red zone, they're always drawing up different type of plays, whether it's screen plays, push passes, stuff like that. Like, they're always drawing up different plays that get Mahomes touchdowns. They use him so much in the red zone, and even near the goal line, they'll use Mahomes, sometimes as like a runner. Last week, he did have 2 rushing touchdowns against Buffalo, also threw for 245 yards and 1 touchdown. Mahomes started off the season, you look at his game log to start the season from a fantasy perspective, he was not really getting a lot of fantasy points. He wasn't really getting a lot of touchdowns. A lot of those touchdowns were going to the running backs. But lately, we started to see some positive touchdown regression for Mahomes, especially in the playoffs. He's been getting a lot of touchdowns. He had 3 against Pittsburgh, 3 for 3 in the game against Houston. Or that one, I don't know. Yeah, that one, a playoff game, excuse me. The Pittsburgh game, that was the Christmas Day game. But their last 2 playoff games against Houston, threw for 177 yards, had 1 touchdown. Last week against Buffalo, threw for 245 and 1 touchdown. Ran for 43 yards and 2 touchdowns. Like we said, Mahomes, they lean on him heavily in the postseason, and especially in big games like this in the Super Bowl, they lean heavily on Mahomes. I'm expecting a lot of pass attempts here for Mahomes. The sports books are expecting a lot of pass attempts for Mahomes. His pass attempts line is set at 36, so pretty high line there. And then you look at really all his props kind of across the board. His pass yards prop is set at 252, so he's projected for about 10 fantasy points just from pass yards, because 250 pass yards would be 10 fantasy points. Then you look at his rush yards prop. That's set at 30.5. Let's say we give him 30 rush yards. That's an additional 3 fantasy points. And then you have to factor in touchdowns. Mahomes has a 2.5 passing touchdowns prop, which is a demon. His 1.5 passing touchdowns prop is a goblin, which means it's favored to go over. You take that prop, it gives you a lesser payout just because it's more likely to happen. Mahomes throws for 2 touchdowns. That's an additional 8 fantasy points. And then maybe he runs a touchdown. He did have 2 rushing touchdowns last week. He's been running a lot lately, especially in the playoffs. He's historically run a lot. So there's just a lot of ways for Patrick Mahomes to get 20.5 fantasy points. And in this matchup against the Eagles, a really good run defense. I think we're going to see Kansas City lean heavily on their best player, Mahomes, here. I think we can expect a lot of pass attempts from him. Also think we can expect some design runs, some scrambles. He just has so many ways that he can get fantasy points. And I do like this play a lot. Patrick Mahomes for more than 20.5 fantasy score. Next prop I like is going to be one of his receivers, and we're going to pair Mahomes' fantasy score with Hollywood Brown. I typed in Marquise Brown. Hollywood Brown. We're going to take Hollywood Brown for more than 3.5 receptions. So these 2 props, somewhat correlate. Obviously, Hollywood, if he gets catches, that's probably going to mean fantasy points for Mahomes. Best case scenario is Mahomes throws touchdowns to Hollywood, because that gives us fantasy points for Mahomes, and that also gives us receptions for Hollywood. But either way, we've seen Hollywood now play 4 games with the Chiefs. He's gone over this line in 2 out of 4. The game against Houston, where he had 0 catches, that was a game where Patrick Mahomes did not throw the ball much at all. He only had 25 pass attempts. And then also, Hollywood went under last week against Buffalo, but that was also a game where Hollywood, or where Mahomes didn't have a lot of pass attempts, he only had 26 pass attempts lately. We said earlier that Mahomes' pass attempts line for this game is set at 36. So the sportsbooks are expecting more pass attempts for the Chiefs here. The Chiefs are a team that they do involve a lot of different guys in the passing game. Kelsey, Hollywood, Juju Smith-Schuster, Hopkins, Xavier Worthy. Like, they just have so many different guys that they can use. But Hollywood Brown has had a pretty solid role since he's been with the Chiefs. It's only a 4-game sample. But in his 4 games with Kansas City, in terms of snaps played, he's played 27%, 40%, 67%, and 65% of the offensive snaps. They kind of eased him in his first 2 games, and then the last 2 games, their last 2 playoff games, we have seen his snap share really spike up. So he's basically been operating as the wide receiver 2 behind Xavier Worthy. Xavier Worthy has kind of come on as the wide receiver 1 lately, but Hollywood's kind of emerged as the wide receiver 2. And we know he's going to get pretty good volume. He's been a guy that throughout his career has historically been able to earn targets when he's been on the field, when he's running routes. This season, in his 4 games with Kansas City, in terms of targets, Hollywood has earned 8, 7, 2, and 5 targets. And again, the last 2 weeks have been games where Kansas City didn't really throw the ball a ton. They didn't have to throw the ball a ton. This could definitely be a game script where they are forced into more pass attempts. The sportsbooks are expecting that, given Mahomes a 36 pass attempts line. And if we're expecting Mahomes to throw the ball anywhere near 36 times, I think we got a pretty good chance of getting 4 catches for Hollywood Brown. I think more times than not, Hollywood Brown gets like 6, 7 targets. And with that type of volume, I'd bet on him getting 4 catches more times than not. I know the Eagles secondary is very good, so by no means is this a great matchup. I mean, these are the 2 best teams in the NFL playing against each other. So it's really, it's hard to say that anyone's really going to have a good matchup when you have the 2 best teams going against each other. But I expect a solid role for Hollywood Brown. I'm expecting a good amount of pass attempts for Patrick Mahomes. And if Patrick Mahomes gets 21 fantasy points, I think there's a good chance Hollywood gets 4 catches. I know last week Mahomes went over this fantasy point line without Hollywood getting 4 catches, and that was mainly because he was able to get 2 rushing touchdowns. But in order for Mahomes to get 20.5 fantasy points, he's probably going to have to throw for like 200, 250 yards. And if he's going to throw for that many yards, he's probably going to have at least like 25, 30 pass attempts. If he has that many pass attempts, then I think we can expect 4 receptions here for Hollywood Brown. And sportsbook odds like this over a lot. A lot of sportsbooks, I looked at DraftKings, they had this at like minus 135 favoring the over. So sportsbook odds are favoring the over on this receptions prop for Hollywood Brown. I like this play as well. We'll take that as our second prop for the Super Bowl. And then last prop that we're going to talk about is going to be an Eagles prop. So, on Prizepicks, you do have to take players from different teams. Like, you can't take just all Chiefs props and just play that. Like, you have to have something from either a different team or a different game. So we're going to give out an Eagles prop as well that I do like. It's going to be a prop on Jalen Hurts. And the Jalen Hurts prop that we're going to take is going to be more than 12.5 for his longest rush. So this is a unique prop. It's not one that you probably won't see a lot of people taking. But if you look at his last 5 games, for what it's worth, it doesn't mean much. But for what it's worth, Hurts has gone over this line in 4 of his last 5 games. He did go under last week against Washington. It was reported that Hurts was dealing with a knee injury. I think that report came out after the Rams game, and he wasn't really running much in the Washington game. He had like 10 carries for 16 yards, I think. His longest rush in that game was 9 yards. But we've seen Hurts be able to break off long runs consistently this season. He had a 23-yard run against Pittsburgh, 22 against Washington, 15 against Green Bay, 44 against the Rams. Then he had that knee injury. Wasn't running much in the Washington game. But now he's had 2 weeks off, to get ready for the Super Bowl game. I mean, that Washington game was on January 26th. That was pretty much exactly like 2 weeks ago. So he's had a lot of time to heal. I'm expecting Hurts to be a little bit more mobile here. I mean, you can see the sportsbooks still have his rush yards line set, I think, at 38.5 is what I saw it at. It's still at 38.5, even though he was not even close to going over that last week. So obviously the sportsbooks are still expecting Hurts to be running and to be mobile, despite that report that he was dealing with a knee injury. And when he's been able to get 39 rush yards, most of those games this season, he's had a longest rush of 13 yards. If you actually look at his game log this season, in games with at least 39 rush yards, Hurts has had 23 as his longest rush. He has had a longest rush of 21, a longest rush of 24, had a longest rush of 9 against Washington. He did have 39 yards against Washington earlier this season in the regular season with a longest rush of 9. Then he had 39 yards against the Rams with a longest rush of 11, but then a 59-yard game against Carolina with a longest rush of 35, had a longest rush of 23, longest rush of 22, and then the game against the Rams, he ran for 70 yards, had a longest rush of 44. So more times than not, when Hurts runs for 39 yards or even comes close to 39 rush yards, he's probably going to have a 13-yard run mixed in there. He's a guy that they'll call design runs for. He's a guy that can scramble as well. The Chiefs are a team that they do give up a lot of rush yards to opposing quarterbacks. I was looking at it earlier. I think they're top 5 in rush yards allowed to quarterbacks this season. The Chiefs are 7th, so they're actually seventh most rush yards allowed to quarterbacks this season. So running quarterbacks have had success, against the Chiefs. For what it's worth, when these two teams did play in the Super Bowl 2 seasons ago, I know 2 seasons ago, so take it with a grain of salt. But for what it's worth, Hurts was very mobile in that game. He did run. I believe he ran for like 70 yards in the Super Bowl 2 years ago. I'm going to take a look at that game log. I had it pulled up. I'm going to pull it up here. So yeah, Hurts did run for 70 yards in the Super Bowl, against this team 2 years ago, and had a 28-yard longest run in that matchup. The Chiefs, they've been struggling against running quarterbacks all season. Hurts is a guy that likes to run. They'll call design runs for him. He'll also scramble. He's a guy that can break off long runs, and I think having the 2 weeks off to heal, to rest up, to prepare for this game should allow him to be a little bit more mobile than he was in that Washington game where he didn't really run much at all and wasn't really effective running the ball. I think things could definitely be different here. And looking at DraftKings Sportsbook has Hurts' longest rush line set at 13.5, so it's a yard higher. On Prizepicks, we're getting the line at 12.5, so there's a little bit of value there. I do like that as our third prop for the Super Bowl, guys. So we've got 3 plays for the Super Bowl. We got Mahomes, more than 20.5 fantasy score, Hollywood Brown, more than 3.5 receptions, and Jalen Hurts, more than 12.5 as the longest rush. Again, guys, I know it's the big game. Everyone's excited. I'm excited for this one, but I didn't want to go crazy and just come on here and just give out a bunch of different plays. I still try and stay disciplined, stick to the plays I like, and these are 3 plays I did like. Looking at the board on Saturday when I'm recording this video. Now, don't know if I have any more plays for the Super Bowl. If I do have any more plays, I'll share those on Patreon. As always, I do give out more Prizepicks plays on Patreon, so if you do want to check that out, that's always linked down below in the description. But I appreciate you guys watching this video. I appreciate you guys supporting the content all NFL season. It's it's sad that the NFL season is coming to an end, but we got NBA still going on. We got MLB coming up this summer. I'll be doing content for both NBA and MLB, so I'm not going anywhere. If you guys want more content from me, just make sure to hit that subscribe button. We're posting NBA videos daily. Going to be posting MLB videos when MLB season comes around, and then sure enough, NFL will be back, college football will be back, and we'll be back to posting out content for those sports as well. So we're always going to be putting out content on this channel. Hit that subscribe button if you guys do enjoy these videos. Hit that like button as well for me. And also, if you guys don't have an account on Prizepicks, go sign up for Prizepicks. Use that promo code NOAH when you do. Also, take advantage of the free square that they have available on Patrick Mahomes pass yards 0.5. You definitely want to be playing those free picks. You can add this to this slip. Obviously, if you play the Mahomes free square with this, you would have to take out the fantasy score line. You could just take out fantasy score, put in the free square, and then play it with these 2 props. You can do that if you want to. It's up to you. But you guys definitely need to be on Prizepicks and use that promo code NOAH when you do sign up. But good luck this Super Bowl, guys. Enjoy the game. Hopefully we have a really good game. Go Eagles, because I'm going to be rooting for the Eagles. Put my bet in on the Eagles. And yeah, guys, hope it's a good one. Appreciate you guys watching the video, and we will see you in the next one.